So after all of this, and when everything starts to transition / die down, what does our new normal look like?
I've got a list of demands for the mandem. I want, and first and foremost, the US will probably sort themselves out in terms of, you know, the US apologizing for slavery. They haven't done it yet, but I guess they're probably closer to doing it than we are, right? So I want an apology from the UK, from France, from Spain, from Portugal, from Denmark, from Germany, from the Netherlands. I want an apology and Belgium, from all of them, for everything they've done and for the past 500 years. I need an apology. They need to recognize what they've done, and then until they've apologized, we need that. That's number one. Number two, cancel Africa's debt.
Yes,
that needs to be cancelled. All of it. How dare you? How dare you invade Africa and then put them in debt?
They looted Africa.
They looted Africa and then put them in debt. Cancel that. The next one is a pie in the sky, but I'm going to say I want it. I want reparations for all descendants of slaves in the US and Caribbean, the ones that live in Canada, the ones in the UK, ones in Brazil. I want reparations. And you don't get reparations, right, unless you admitted to being black before 2020. So I'm talking to them, man, from the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. If you weren't black in 2019, you're not black today, you don't get no money. But we need reparations.
Just like that, I agreed with the majority when it got to Dominica and the
Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico.
The Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. The jury star on that one, and I would prefer not to comment. However, I have to say, I do agree with reparations because you really can't. This equality or whatever equality they're talking about, you can't. What does equality look like with a 400-year head start of those who have stolen and profited off free labor of the people that you haven't given anything, you haven't given enough, especially in America, haven't given affordable houses, given them subprime loans. Like, you have put them in a position that just to say the word equality, all right, okay, now we can all be the same, which also doesn't filter down to your every employer, but on the ground, grassroots level, whatever you legislate is not going to hit there for a while. So all of this equality, I need to know in which way, how are we going to receive it? You know, someone said they're sending you some money. Am I getting it in a check? Am I getting it on my app or my phone? Are you going to?
We need quick wins, and we
need to know how it's happening, and especially nations and people descendants of and people who have been directly affected by the slave trade, and especially in America as well. I like to improve especially because not only the effects of institutionalized racism and slavery, still that after the slaves were freed, you still got legislation that put them behind and kept them behind. So just saying, okay, now we can be equal is not good enough.
We need to have quick wins in reparations, and we need to have sustainable wins in reparations. So I'm happy for you to send me, like the same way you sent out the stimulus checks that everyone could go outside and spend money or catch COVID, the same way you sent those checks out, I'd like to have a quick check of, I don't know, £15,000 immediately. Then I'd also like to have some really long-term sustainable fiscal policy that is only for people that who should receive reparations. I don't know what I think about Dominicans and Puerto Ricans, because actually there's a whole lot of stuff to discuss in that. I know people who are Black Puerto Ricans and identify as Black Puerto Ricans or Afro-Latinos.
They get money too.
Okay.
In this plan, they get money. But that was a bit of a joke, to be honest with you. But you know, I don't want them all of a sudden say, "Oh, I'm black now." No.
But then you know what? You can't. I feel like again, we're doubling down on the penalty. We're literally doubling down on the effects of people who have been so put down and downtrodden and actually their identity is so warped by colonizers and what's happened that they're still struggling to identify with their roots. That is it do we now penalize them or do we educate them? Like we
educate them, but they don't get reparations.
Exactly. And they don't get reparations as well.
They don't need it. They need education.
They need education. Once they're educated, then maybe they get some. No, actually, no. Those people that only found out that they're black in 2020, put them through education. When they get to the end of the education, then they get the reparations.
Boom.
The
next point, right? The African diaspora, all of us who are of African descent that are not in Africa, right, need to spend more time in Africa and the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Dollars and pounds need to be put to better use. You can have your holiday there. All the countries there are beautiful. You can go holiday there. You can build businesses there.
I think it should be compulsory.
There's so much. There's so much that can be done in Africa and the Caribbean. I don't understand why you're not taking your degree and going there. Do you know what I mean? I want to see black businesses more prominent. I want our names on buildings too.
Oh,
I want to see a fist on a building. I want to see that statue in the noughts and crosses. I want that in London.
Go London. I knew when you said fist, I knew you were gonna go next to the.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
I need to see that. I could go on.
Go on. We're on number 5.
So black stories, more black content on TV and film, right? I want them to be seen and respected by not just black people. Or white people need to use their privilege for our good. These are the more realistic ones that can actually happen. The other ones are pie in the sky and dreams that may happen and may not, but whatever.
But you know what? Everything started with a dream. Do you think that the people that slaves on the plantation, they're thinking, we want a black president? It's a pie in the sky, it's a dream. In actual fact, maybe one day it can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Or Jesus will come back and he will condemn everybody who needs to be condemned.
I got 3 more, right? So the decriminalization of black hairstyles in schools and workplaces. More froze, more braids, more locks, more fades, and more shameless bald-headedness.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Really? 2 more. Hood dudes. I put another word, but we're not going to do that today.
We're not doing
what?
Hood dudes. Put the guns and knives down, pick up books and bricks and build. And finally, policemen need to get jailed for life for killing us. That's what I got to say. That's what I want the new normal to be like.
Can I add in prison reform? Removing stop and search of black people in urban areas, whatever you think urban is, whatever you think you can stop and search us for. We need to stop that. Actually, go and stop and search other people. Go and stop and search where there's white supremacists or they're building bombs. How about that?
Can I just say, go and stop and search in the city where there's a high usage of Class A drugs. Did I say it? Yes, I did. Go and stop and search there. Go and stop and search there, because you know what? You will find what you're looking for, just not on the people who you're looking for it on.
Absolutely. I would like to see a huge change in prison reform. And like Andrew and I were talking last episode, I would like to see like a change in how we are educating and working with communities. I think I saw a post that said, when there's a call that there's somebody who's having a schizophrenic episode or somebody who's bipolar and they are threatening somebody, let's not send police officers who aren't equipped or educated to deal with that. Let's send a mental health worker. Let's send a mental health practitioner actually to deal with that, because we are sending the wrong people to do the wrong jobs, and it's not okay. It's just not okay. That's what I'd like to see.
Mm-hmm. And I think you guys have covered the majority of it, but just a couple more things. I think when you're talking about fiscal reparations and long-term fiscal plans for reparations of those who deserve it, or entitled to it. I want them to actually, I think housing is a really big thing, and I think they should really put in place a way to make it cheaper for those communities to buy houses and own houses specifically. So that for me is a main thing. And also own
And
business.
that's an easy thing. That's
Exactly.
an easy thing to do, and that's what they used to do. And they took it away when housing was when housing was denationalized, and now we have a housing crisis and in the UK it's extremely difficult to get on the housing ladder. As you know, I work for a housing charity. As of the beginning of this year, it takes the average Londoner who's earning a salary of around 30, like mid 30,000, 12 years to save up to buy a deposit in London.
So I'm saying, I think housing is the main source. I think it will make a big impact on generational wealth and help close that gap. So I think that they should be able, that a real an initiative should be put in place to actually be able to support families of just to support those families to be able to buy houses in good areas. And yeah, just support them. I think that's an easy way to do it, and probably better than just giving people money just like this because what we're going to use it for. Another thing, schools. The children need to be educated. A lot of children, the next generation needs to be educated, both black and white. They need to not be just this like Black History Month that just starts with slavery. That what it needs and ends with Usain
Bolt.
No, not even Usain Bolt. It ends with like the times when they like to end it is like with Martin Luther King, and that's where it kind of ends there. Like Black history is much wider, and you're making it very narrow, and what the only thing you care about to share, and even then is for 1 or 2 classes and restricted to 1 month. So I think it needs to be more. I think like that kind of education needs to be emphasized, and it also not only for schools that have a high percentage of Black and minority students or kids across the nation. I don't care. In some small town somewhere that has no Black child, that should be compulsory, because actually the education of the whole nature and then the whole nation is important. For if you really want a different society, there's some things that people can't unlearn at this point. We can count. Hopefully, we can rectify the mistakes with the new generations coming up.